Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul State Inc. My name is Beth, and I am here today to talk to you about Alice in Wonderland. So, these are 5 of the different editions that I own. I'm pretty sure I have a couple of other editions that I just didn't find when I was glancing around the house. This one is from 1960. It's both Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and it has the original illustrations by John Tenniel. So there's the caterpillar there. It is kind of falling apart. We've had to tape it back into place because it was in a library and then Mother's classroom and my classroom. Next, I have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland just by itself. It has this super cool flap, and this is a Puffin Classics chalk edition, and it was illustrated by Mary Kate McDevitt. And they also did interior illustrations by Tenniel, so they used those. This was issued in 2014, and then, of course, Tenniel's fabulous illustrations in there, which go really well with that chalk theme. This one is from the Junior Classics for Young Readers, and it was condensed and adapted by Debbie Guthrie with illustrations by Jason Alexander, cover illustrated by Patrick Phelan. This was released in 2014, and then we have these kind of illustrations. I like how they kind of try to stay with the theme that how John Tenniel did them. Then I have this edition, which is by Sterling Publishing Company, and this came out in 2005 with illustrations by Scott McCowan, and those are like this. So again, very similar to John Tenniel. And then sadly, this one does not have any interior illustrations. This came out by the Rock Paper Company in 2016. So I do like the front and back cover, but they don't have any interior illustrations, which makes me sad. Like I said, I probably have 2 or 3 other editions, and I have several copies specifically of this edition because I teach it as a novel study. I'm currently teaching it to my sophomores, but we are doing a condensed like mini unit. Uh, Honestly, they're surprising me because they don't really know the Alice in Wonderland story, which is weird. But anyway, let's move right along and talk a little bit about Charles Lutwidge, I'm not sure, Dodgson, which is Lewis Carroll. He was a professor of mathematics, and he attended and then taught at Christ Church College in Oxford. Um, his father's name was also Charles Dodgson, and he had a brother named Edward. He passed away at the age of 65 in Guildford, Surrey, England. He was born in Daresbury, Cheshire, England. And he did a lot of things other than write Alice in Wonderland. So he was an author, obviously. He did a lot of poetry. He really liked like nonsense poetry, and he liked to make patterns with that and with his plays and words. He was a mathematician, so he liked to do that. He was also an illustrator, although you don't really see any of his illustrations in his books. But like I said, he was a mathematician, so he liked very patterned illustrations. He was also a photographer. He was an inventor of things and a teacher and a poet. So his most famous work is these Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And they came about because he became very close with the dean of his part of the college, whose name was Dean Liddell. And Dean Liddell had many children, 3 daughters. So there was Alice and Lorena, and then there was also Edith. So those three girls spent a lot of time with um, Dodgson, but they also had brothers, Arthur, Harry, and Lionel. Yes. Uh, and they all spent a lot of time with Lewis Carroll, but the girls spent more time with him. He would photograph them, he would hang out with the family. Like, he was a bachelor, he lived on his own in these just kind of dingy quarters at Christchurch. And so Henry Liddell, Dean Liddell, the father, he kind of would bring Charles Dodgson over, and they would feed him, try to take this awkward mathematician and bring him out of his shell a little bit. And he created games and wordplay for the children, and they would often just he would nanny for them. And so he would take the girls on boat rides and picnics and things of that nature. And that is where we first get the inklings of Alice in Wonderland. So Alice was the one who was always like, tell me a story out your mouth, make something up, let's go. And so he created Alice in Wonderland as a story for her. He started telling the story to the girls on a picnic. They had gone on, rode the boat out, went for a picnic. The girls asked for a story. Alice specifically asked for a story, and he started to tell them this story. And so she demanded that he write it down and write more of it. So that is how we got Alice in Wonderland, which is fairly similar to how we got The Hobbit and pieces of C.S. Lewis's great works, and I'm sure many, many other fabulous stories started because somebody said, tell me a story, and somebody else started it, and they were like, you have to write it down now. The reason it's published, however, is because he sent the story to a friend of his just to be like, isn't this funny? The girls wanted me to write this. What do you think? And his buddy was like, send it to an agent, send it to a publisher. That's how it got published. And now, 160 years later, here we are with Alice in Wonderland still being super popular, still getting a lot of remakes. If you want to see something that is very much in the weirdness line of Alice in Wonderland, but also a little bit creepy, I would highly suggest that you search up just on YouTube, search up Alice in Wonderland silent films. There's one from 1908, and then it's like 5 minutes long or something. And then there is one that is an hour long from 1915, and it's only an hour long because there's missing film that has been corroded far too much for us to be able to use it. But they saved it, and it is streaming on the YouTube. And we are reading sections of the book and then watching sections of the 1915 version, then the original Disney version, and then Tim Burton's version, and comparing them. And my students are suitably freaked out, and it is a lot of fun. But that is all I've got for you guys today. Remember that Alice in Wonderland is one of two books for the Classic Children's Literature Book Club book pick in May 2024. And I will come back and talk to you about the other one later on in the month. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will talk to you again soon. Until then, stay safe out there, guys. Bye.